Imagine a terrifying, absolutely devastating plague sweeping across Renaissance Europe. It's deadly, it's chaotic, and the only clue to its origin is a bizarre tale about a shepherd who insulted the sun god. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're investigating a 16th century medical mystery that literally forever changed modern epidemiology. Now, I know it sounds like pure mythology, but this exact story became a crucial turning point in medical history. The illness was very real, the devastation was absolute, and the way this myth was used to explain it laid the very foundation for how we track diseases today. How did a fictional shepherd give his name to a real-world medical crisis? And in what specific ways did this mythological story lay the exact groundwork for modern germ theory? We're going to unpack the historical evidence and definitively answer both of these questions for you right now. Part 1. The Shepherd's Curse. Okay, let's explore the historical setting of this devastating Renaissance outbreak. Our primary focus today is an extraordinary document published in 1530 by the Italian physician and poet Girolamo Fracastoro. The work is titled Syphilis, sive Morbus Gallicus, which translates to syphilis, or the French disease. At a time when the church heavily stigmatized this new disease as divine punishment for sin, Fracastoro brilliantly bypassed the religious backlash by blending clinical observation with a secular New World myth. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who want to explore the primary sources for yourselves, the links to the bibliography, including the Internet Archive, are in the description below. So Fracastoro didn't just write some dry, standard medical text. He actually composed this work beautifully in dactylic hexameter. For context, that's the exact same rhythmic, poetic style utilized by ancient greats like Virgil and Lucretius. He divided his wealth of knowledge into 3 distinct books. Step 1, Book I, tackles the mysterious origins and outlines the terrifying clinical symptoms of the disease ravaging Europe. Step 2, Book II, acts as a practical medical manual covering contemporary prevention methods and treatments. Finally, Step 3, Book III, introduces the actual myth of the shepherd's syphilis, masterfully wrapping clinical data inside a mythological narrative. Part 2, Origins, Symptoms, and Treatments. Let's look closer at the actual medicine hidden right there within the verses. There is a really stark contrast in Fracastoro's work between art and science. On one side, we have a surreal, mythological punishment. A shepherd boy named Syphilis hurls insults at Sol Pater, the sun god. In brutal retaliation, the god strikes the land with a horrific plague, making Syphilis the very first patient of the illness that eventually took his name. But on the other side, we see the absolute clinical reality. Fracastoro was documenting real-world devastation. He was actively evaluating Renaissance-era remedies, famously and explicitly recommending the heavy metal mercury, as well as guaiacum wood, to treat the intense suffering of his patients. Part 3, Standardizing the Terminology. This publication actually brought about a major turning point by giving a chaotic, highly stigmatized disease a universal identity. I really want you to remember this phrase: name the plague to tame the plague. Before Fracastoro's poem, this illness was just a chaotic mess of regional finger-pointing. The French called it the Neapolitan disease, while the Italians called it the French disease. By wrapping the clinical symptoms in a compelling, universal mythological story, Fracastoro's Renaissance effort successfully standardized the medical terminology. This single act of naming allowed physicians across borders to finally communicate globally and clearly about the exact same pathogen. Part 4, The Seeds of Contagion. Let's move on and see how this builds from literary success into hard science. Just imagine invisible hitchhikers traveling on the silk cloaks of Renaissance merchants, or riding on the very air they breathe. This wasn't magic. This was Fracastoro's brilliant scientific hypothesis. 16 years after his poem, he expanded his ideas in a prose treatise called De Contagion. He proposed that diseases were actually spread by tiny, invisible, multiplying entities. He called them seeds of contagion. He astutely mapped out transmission through direct contact, through contaminated objects or fomites like clothing, and even through the air itself. Tracing this timeline reveals a massive leap in scientific thought. In 1530, the epic poem standardizes the disease globally. Then, by 1546, Fracastoro publishes his prose treatise, expanding on those transmission theories. This foundational groundwork sits right there, shaping early medical thought for centuries, until modern germ theory is conclusively proven by Pasteur and Koch in the 1800s. Fracastoro saw the invisible vectors of disease literally hundreds of years before the scientific community had the microscopes to prove him right. Part 5, Modern Scientific Takeaways. So the crucial point is how we connect these Renaissance breakthroughs directly to your daily practice as modern medical professionals. There are 3 highly practical, actionable points we can extract from the 16th century text that remain absolutely relevant today. Number 1, standardize scientific terminology for global communication. Clear, unified language is our first and best defense in any global outbreak. Number 2, utilize creative media to distribute complex clinical findings. Fracastoro used epic poetry to make his medical data go viral in the Renaissance. Today, we use data visualization and structured explainers to achieve that same rapid comprehension. Number 3, observe transmission vectors rigorously. Tracking direct contact, fomites, and airborne routes remains the absolute core of tracking modern pathogens in any clinical environment.